Hi everyone, and welcome to my video book review presentation for this week. It is Running Out of Time by Margaret Peterson Haddix, and the publisher is Simon & Schuster, and it was published in 1995, and it's for ages about 8 to 12, but anyone can read it after that age. The author, Margaret Peterson Haddix, started her career as a reporter and taught community college and was a freelance writer before she became a children's author. One fun thing about this book, and some of the only illustrations that go with it, are the book covers. Here are three different ones right here. They all are a little different and show a part of the story. And as I tell you about the book, you'll see kind of why they're different looking. So a little bit about the book. Running Out of Time is a minute-by-minute thriller filled with suspense and hope. Jessie's a 13-year-old girl living in her small, quiet village in 1840. Suddenly, all of the children in her village contract a lethal illness, diphtheria. The town doctor was always able to give them medicine in the past, but not anymore. They've become prisoners in the town now. Her ma decides to reveal a town secret and send Jessie on a dangerous mission to save the children. She tells her it is really 1996, and they live in a special tourist town where people can come and see them and see what life in the 1800s is like. So she dresses her in modern-day clothes and gives her instructions on how to get help. Then she sends her through the last unlocked hidden hatch out of town, and Jessie must now race against the clock before she runs out of time to save the children. How I thought this book met the criteria for contemporary realistic fiction. I wanted to touch on each one because I thought it fit really well. First, is this book honest as a realistic fiction? I think it is, because it doesn't focus on all the drama of the story. Instead, it focuses on how she reacts to her situation and what she does to get out of her situation, and the solutions that she comes up with. For the values, it's a very traditional book. There's very traditional family values. Her town is set in the early 1800s. They're very respectful. They love each other. And even when she's in the modern world, the real world, that carries over those values. She trusts people, and she wants to help the children back in her village. As for sophistication, this book is full of it. Jessie is experiencing a new world and figuring things out along the way with the reader. Of course, we understand the real world a little better than she does, but it really builds and lets you feel it as she's learning it. The language represents the book well. It's old-fashioned, yes ma'am, yes sir, very polite and respectful. And even when Jessie's in the modern world, you can tell the difference when she goes out in the real world, because other people don't talk like that. So I thought the author did a good job with that. And the most important category for this criteria is hope. And this book is filled with hope. It's all about hope. Jessie needs to get the medicine to save her village. She needs to make her way in the world, but she doesn't know how. She needs to have hope for that. She needs to have hope to escape people that end up trying to kill her. She needs hope to get help for her family and the children. So this whole book is one big hope. As for violence, there's a little bit set back in that time frame. There was spankings and beatings. Her father got even beat once for her questioning something, she didn't realize that there were hidden cameras in trees, and her father got in trouble for her trying to climb the tree and see what that sparkly thing in the tree was. And because the children in the town weren't supposed to know that it wasn't really the 1840s. And the only other violence is when other characters in the book, after she escapes, want to try and kill her so that no one can find out what's going on in this tourist town about the diphtheria. So those are the violent parts, I guess you could say. Was it insightful? It was. The book teaches to have hope and have a growth mindset that you can accomplish things if you put forth the effort. Jessie wants to give up several times and thinks, how can she possibly do what her mother's asking her? And when she's out in this modern world that she doesn't recognize, she does want to give up a couple times, but she perseveres on her own, all by herself. No one convinces her to. So I think this book is really insightful in teaching children how they can overcome their obstacles. As far as enjoyment, I like the book. It's suspenseful, it's interesting, and it has a good ending. So I chose it. Why I picked it is because I like the author, I liked the premise of the story, the action and the suspense, and it had a realistic happy ending. Not everyone survives, but it does have a happy ending. Things that was also things I liked. Things I didn't like is the reading level was aimed at a younger crowd because this is for the children, and so it was a little immature for me reading it, but I still enjoyed it a lot. And maybe one other thing about it is you do have to suspend a little bit of belief in this story to have it be realistic. Instead of a fantasy, you have to suspend belief to have it be realistic. But it was just fun. I thought it met the criteria well because I could find a way that each criteria fit it in some way, especially the most important one of hope. The book is filled with hope. I think children can connect with the theme the most of hope because of the struggles in their own lives, and they can see how Jessie had a good mindset, a growth mindset, that she could overcome her challenges and stuff. One fun fact is this book is similar to Shalman's movie The Village, which I also love. I actually stumbled across it years ago after I watched The Village. Her book was written first before the movie, and that's how I ended up reading it. And since then, I've also read some of her other books. Among the Hidden is another set that I read and I really liked. And she has a lot of standalones. This is a standalone book over here in the this section, but she has several more series than this, and they're all really good. So if you're looking for some good reads that aren't too long and on a children's level, this is your author. She kind of reminds me of Garth Nix a little bit and Orson Scott Card a little bit. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this book or learning about it, and if you've never read it or any of her books, I hope you give this author a try, and I hope I showed that it meets the criteria. And it's a fun, realistic fiction that kind of has a twist and a spin with the it being set in the 1840s at first. And I thought that made it even more interesting. Anyways, enjoy!